Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome to your reading for this is your rest of 2025 reading. This is really the real 2025 because, as I said in the 2025 readings, 2025 doesn't really start till May. So you start with the clouds and the clovers here, or the clover in the Gilded Lenormand. The cloud and the clover can represent needing to make sure that you don't miss out on an opportunity, or it can represent missing out on a opportunity that, or like a chance that you could be taking here. And so we're gonna look at that. Sorry, I didn't want to pull that card yet, but we'll take it. So, there could be like an opportunity that's coming in for you that you're not going to want to miss out on, basically. And I would pay attention with this energy for sure. And we'll see where it goes. You have the Tower, the Wheel of Fortune, and the Two of Swords. Definitely like a decision that needs to be made. The Tower can, of course, represent coming down to reality. Those people have been in the tower. They've been ignoring reality, and now they're being brought down to reality on the Tower card. So I always say that, to me, the Tower is not really a bad card. I rather see reality than ignore it, personally. And so, again, it doesn't have to be a bad thing with the Tower. The other thing with the Tower is that, again, if you feel like you did miss out on an opportunity, we go down to the Ace of Pentacles. I don't think this is really saying that you're getting a second chance. But what I do feel, right below the Tower, you have the Wheel of Fortune. It's almost like you're kind of creating another chance, but to do something similar, but in a different way. And I feel like I've said this to you before, Capricorn, but like my intuition is just telling me that some of you are like getting another opportunity to have a Tower moment. And that's not what you think it is. This is not like a bad thing, but what I think it's saying is like you have the opportunity almost to like reinvent a Tower moment. Like, maybe the obvious example would be a breakup. Like maybe you had a difficult breakup and it's like now you're getting a second chance, in the sense that you could be getting starting a new relationship where there is a chance that it could lead to a Tower moment, which is true for every relationship. This could be a business, it could be an idea, could just be an opportunity with the Ace of Pentacles. But it's almost like the reading itself is saying that you are going to be revisiting a Tower moment. I say that because of the Wheel of Fortune. But it's like this time you have the opportunity to do things differently. And that is what the Wheel of Fortune wants you to do. So to me, this looks like a repeat situation. But again, this is not a bad thing, and this is not exactly the same situation. I feel this is something that's more similar. So again, if it's love, it's like a new person. If it's business, it's something different. If it's your job, it's something different. And I think that this time you can do it better, and that's what the reading is encouraging you to do. I also think that with the clouds and the clover, it's saying don't miss this opportunity. The clouds in the Lenormand is about not seeing things clearly. The clover is a very lucky card, but Lenormand we read with combinations of cards, right? Lenormand is like a little bit more strict than tarot, at least I think it is. It's kind of like you're meant to follow certain rules with the Lenormand, and again, that opportunity, that combination kind of says don't miss out on an opportunity that could be presenting itself. Like your past judgments of a situation could be clouding your judgment, and you need to see things clearly. Now, the Wheel of Fortune just says you have to take control of your destiny. The Wheel of Fortune, we control the direction of the wheel. I always say we want to be at the center of the wheel because that's where we can control it. We can also control it with our vibrations, with this snake right here. So you want to make sure that you are in alignment with what you want with the Wheel of Fortune. Really wouldn't be a Capricorn reading without the Two of Swords lately. You've been getting the Two of Swords a lot. I kind of feel like the Two of Swords is more saying to Capricorn, like, no assumptions, basically. She is thinking that something, like an opportunity, is going to go this way or this way in her life. And she's trying to protect her heart from getting hurt. That's why, she's crossed over her chest here. But really, she's not trusting her intuition. The blindfolds in the tarot represent needing to trust your intuition, needing to listen to your inner voice, and all that other good stuff. Also, she has this new island behind her over here, and that is how whatever she's thinking about will go. She's thinking this or that, but something is going to go a completely different way. So whatever you're thinking about right now, it's like you probably can't even imagine. I'm not trying to be clickbaity or over the top here, but I'm just saying you probably can't imagine how something is going to turn out. And hopefully we can get some details on what this actually is. I just threw this. With the Tower, you have 2 cards. You have the Wheel of Fortune and the 5 Wands that I threw there. So again, clearly this is like a second chance. The 5 Wands can be conflict or competition, but it could just say that you are conflicted about whether or not to revisit a Tower moment. And again, I think this is more like the essence of a Tower moment. This is an opportunity where you have had a Tower moment in the past, where there was a disaster, or maybe you did something and there was upheaval in your life, right? That's like what you're revisiting here. The 5 Wands says you learned, right? The 5 Wands I like because these people on the 5 Wands, they're using sticks to fight. They're not using swords. They are learning how to fight. They are learning how to battle. And it's basically saying you learned through the past Tower moment. So it's like now it's time to do something again. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Ace of Swords. Yeah, because, as long as you're doing things that are your truth, then you will be successful. The Ace of Swords is the truth. And I feel that you need to kind of focus on your own inner truth. Like, if you want something bad enough, who cares if you had a Tower moment with it in the past? This is about not giving up. You're a Capricorn, right? And so I feel the Ace of Swords is about, following through and having the victory in your reading. That's what this is talking about. It's kind of like saying you need to do that. You need to go have that victory and make it happen, right? No matter what. So that's what I would do with that card. With the 2 of Swords, you have the Strength card, which you also have twice here, right here. So the Strength card is about your inner strength, and the Strength card is about quieting your inner voice. The Lion is submitting to her. The Lion represents her inner voice or her inner critic. And this is probably true for you, Capricorn, that, there's probably a lot going on up here that is saying, don't do this, don't do that. But, the Strength card is about telling that voice to shut up, right? And taking control and being the one that makes your own decisions. And that's exactly what I would do with that Strength card. Next, we're going to do how will things be different in the real 2025 starting in May. That's what this reading is about. You have this Pearl card. It says Hidden Gem on it. You also have this Peacock. It says Pregnancy and Wealth. So you probably have some really good ideas that you're sitting on here. Like, you could be pregnant with ideas or plans for your life, and they could be hidden gems, but you have to go and prove it. It's like one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Les Brown. He says the graveyard is full of ideas, or some. I'm going to butcher the quote apparently, but it's like, he says the graveyard is where ideas go to die, right? The graveyard is full of ideas that people had that could have made them very successful, right? And that's kind of like what's popping into my head with these 2 cards. It's like saying, like, sure, you might be very capable of doing a lot, but if you don't do it, then it doesn't mean anything. And so I feel this is saying it's time to like birth those things about yourself that could really lead to a great life or lead to you being successful or having whatever you want. And I think you need to have more confidence in yourself with that Hidden Gem card. You have the 10 of Wands, the 7 of Pentacles, and the Strength card. You've been getting the 10 of Wands with me for a while, so you're probably very close to accomplishing something and you just can't see it. Those wands are right in front of his face, and so he can't see how close he is to his home. The story of the card is that he planted those wands. Those wands are his harvest, but he also can't see how close he is. Also, he might have picked up someone else's wands as well along the way. So the 10 of Wands says if you can't see the finish line, then you need to make sure that the responsibilities, the burdens that you're carrying are your own. If you're carrying other people's burdens, the card itself says it's time to release those burdens and so that you can be set free. And that's what I would do with that card. You have the 7 of Pentacles. The 7 of Pentacles can, of course, represent a change in direction. So he's looking at these 7 Pentacles and he's saying, is the juice worth the squeeze? And I feel a lot of you could just be looking at your life and you could be saying to yourself, like, am I getting what I want, or, am I not? Or do I have the things I want? Am I moving closer or farther away? It's like those questions are popping into my head. Also, right next to it, you have the 7 of Cups. The 7 of Cups, he is dreaming. He could be dreaming of his perfect life, or he could be dreaming of all the options that he has in life. So I feel a lot of you are asking yourself, just a lot of general questions about your own life, and you're like saying, am I closer or farther away? And I can't answer that question for you, only you can. You have the strength card again. So the strength card is about strength and inner strength. Definitely going to be a time for you. I would say until like June, I think Capricorn should be very careful of their inner voice. Like I would definitely be doing things to, like listening to affirmations, meditations, hypnosis, whatever you want, doesn't matter. But I would be filling your head with more good ideas and less bad ideas, because that's just how you can work with this energy better. And that's what I would be doing. I'd also be correcting your thoughts. Anytime you have a negative thought or a thought that makes you feel weak, especially, correct that thought and tell it it's wrong and take control. And over time, eventually, you will become stronger. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Three of Swords. I mean, this definitely could be love for some of you. It's kind of weird because it's like not really a love reading, but for whatever reason, I feel this could be love. So some of you could be like wanting love, but also you could be burdened by past hurts, and you're like wondering if you should take a second chance at love. So you could be thinking about putting yourself out on Tinder, Adult Friend Finder, whatever you kids use nowadays. I have no clue, but whatever it is, you could put yourself out there, and I think that would be a good idea. This could also be you. It could be anything. It's like I think it is hard to get like if you tried to build a business, it is hard to get motivated again if you had a failure, right? It's like you put all this work into everything, and I think this is what Capricorn is used to, right? I think Capricorn is used to having to put a bunch of work into something that it doesn't work, or you just get less of a result, and that is what needs to change, right? With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Magician. You can have whatever you want, really. I mean, he is pointing towards the Seven of Cups. The Magician, he uses his powers of manifestation and personal brainwashing, we'll call it, to manifest his dream life or whatever he's dreaming of. So you're clearly dreaming of something with the Seven of Cups. It's probably a collection of things. It's like, Seven of Cups would be like, I want the house, the kids, and the car, or whatever the hell it is. So it's like a collection of things. And the Magician, he probably should start working backwards, right? And what I mean by that is he should picture what he wants, but then he needs to start where he is. He has to start taking those small steps to get there. He also needs to make sure that he's using the right tool for the job. He has all the ace versions of all the suits in front of him here on the card, and so sometimes, like, maybe he's just using his swords. Maybe he's being logical and using communication, but, maybe the universe wants him to be creative, right? And he needs to use his wands. Or maybe the universe wants him to inject more love and feeling into the situation, and he needs to use his cups. So this is about saying to yourself, like, am I using the right tool for the job? Basically, anything you're doing, are you getting a result? If the answer is no, what are you doing? Which tool is it? And can you use a different tool to get to where you're going? That's what I would be thinking about with the Magician. With the Strength card, here you go. You have the Star. I'm not even worried about the Tower. Star comes up after the Tower. Star represents healing from a Tower moment. So you're probably healing from a Tower moment already that you've had in the past. I mean, I think the last 20 years of your life was a Tower moment. Probably one after the other. So definitely a great time of healing for you, Capricorn. But again, I think it's very important for Capricorn to look at the big picture. I think I've been saying this to you for a few months now. And, we have this star right here. And the big star on the star is about having a North Star. It's about knowing where you're going. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Again, we can know where we're going and things will go a different way. That's how life works. We can say, oh, I have this dream that I want to accomplish. How we get there doesn't really matter as long as we get there, right? So it's about like having the big vision, but you don't necessarily need to know every single step of the way. And so I think that this is about just coming up with the vision for your dream life. And that's really what I would be focusing on if I were a Capricorn. Next, we're going to do what you can't see coming. You have this surrender card and this transition card. I attach meanings to these rows is what I'm trying to spit out here. But sometimes I feel like it's not true. And what I mean by that is this row is meant to represent what you can't see coming. But the fact of the matter is I feel like you do see a transition coming. So it's like you probably do see that there is some sort of change that is happening in your life, or that you're transitioning onto a new path or a different direction. I feel maybe this is the important part, the surrender part. It's like sometimes I think we hold on to things so much. It reminds me of the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles always reminds me of a meme. There was a meme years ago that was floating around the internet, and it was like a little girl holding on to a tiny little teddy bear, and like God was standing in front of her, and he had a gigantic ass teddy bear behind her back. And I don't remember exactly what it said, but it basically said something like, sometimes what you're holding on to is preventing you from what you really want, right? And that is the surrender thing. It's like sometimes we're afraid to let go of something, like a business or a job that's making us money, but holding on to it is actually the thing that is preventing us from getting what we want. And that is kind of the feeling that I get from these two cards. Now, again, I'm cheating a little bit because based off your astrology, based off the two eclipses we just had, between now and September, you're probably going to be doing something new in your life. And it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be that big of a thing. Like maybe you go to one gym and now you're going to go to another one. There is some sort of transition that will be happening, or some sort of change, and where you let go of something for something better. You have the Hierophant, the Seven of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. The Hierophant sometimes I feel is about like needing to believe that the universe is on your side, needing to believe that the universe does want the best for you, which I think can be hard for people, especially when, I feel that Capricorn could be saying to themselves, like, I've done the work, I do the work, and it should work. And I think that is a very Capricorn thing. Like I always say, I have a shit ton of Capricorn in my chart. In my brain, like I feel that X should equal Y. Like if I do X plus Y, it should equal Z, right? So I'm totally right there with you. For my whole life, struggled, especially when I was younger, because I used to say all the time, I'm doing the work, why am I not seeing a result, right? And so I think that's like a Capricorn thing. And I feel like, and during those times in my life, I used to say, like, the universe wasn't on my side. But really it was, because the universe pushed me in this direction, towards this channel, which is the best thing I've ever done. So, that's what I'll say there, right? It's like sometimes we think that the universe is against us, but really it is kind of pushing us in the right direction. And I feel this Hierophant card is about maybe slowing down and like tapping in, meditating, listening, all those things, and listening to the direction that you're being pushed in, right? That's what I would do here. You have the Seven of Cups. The Seven of Cups is, like I said, the dream. The thing about the Seven of Cups is he's dreaming of all the good things and bad things that could happen in those cups, but really he needs to kind of just get started. And I feel like you've been getting this card as well with me a lot. And so he's like overthinking the situation instead of just getting started and seeing how his dream can turn out. And so I feel it's time to get started, really. You have the Ace of Pentacles, probably like a big new opportunity coming in for you. I feel like this is an opportunity that, again, reminds you of something from the past. So it's not exactly the same, but it's like another opportunity to do something that you've already done. But now is your chance, Capricorn. Now is your chance to do something in a much better way. And so I would take advantage of this opportunity. I always say the Ace of Pentacles has to be nurtured. There's this garden right here. You have to water it, fertilize it, feed it. You have to take care of it. So if you're getting an opportunity that is something that you kind of want, but maybe are afraid of, then I would make sure that you're nurturing it. And of course, as I say to everyone, like you don't have to overinvest or, give too much or anything like that. And with the Hierophant, you have the Five of Pentacles. I was literally going to say the Five of Pentacles here because, the Five of Pentacles says, do not call attention to your weaknesses. It wants you to focus on your strengths. So, I feel for a lot of you, the whole entire reading, strength twice in the reading, it really is about, kind of coming out of the cold and not focusing on the wrong things. That's what the reading wants you to do. It wants you to focus on, all the reasons something could work. The Seven of Cups, he's thinking both. He is thinking that his dream could work, and he's also thinking about all the disasters that could happen. There are good things and bad things in those cups, but there is no solution to the Seven of Cups. He just has to find out what is going to happen. Yeah, with the Seven of Cups, you have the Queen of Cups. If you choose your heart, then you really can't go wrong, It's like one of those things. Like, people used to ask me all the time. I remember I used to get these questions all the time where people would be like, I want to write a book. Should I write the book? Will it be successful? I'm like, well, it doesn't matter. Real writers write. So if you want to be a writer, then you have to be writing. It doesn't matter if it's successful or not. That's what following your heart is. It is doing something even if you don't get the result that you want. But the secret is, people who do that, they usually do get the result that they want. Maybe not right away, but they do eventually get it. So, I think this is about living in the energy. That's what you really have to do with the Magician, is you have to be the thing that you want to be, whether you're successful or not. And so, that is your challenge, Capricorn. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the Nine of Cups. Same thing. The Nine of Cups is about being the thing you want to be. Yes, it's a wish card, but he is bathing in the energy of what he wants. The story of the card is that he is chubby because he's about to have a feast. The whole point of the card is that he's having a feast because he has had a feast before. So we have to have something. We have to have it before we can have it. And people always say, how is that possible? And I always say, well, if you want love, then you have to go act as if you're in love. Go be in love with nature. Go be in love with a dog or a cat or something else. If you want money, you have to act as if you have money. And, this goes for everything in your life. But if you can step into that energy, Capricorn, this reading is really about a mindset shift. Really, when you think about it, if you could shift your mindset, you will shift your life, is kind of like what the reading is saying. Next, we're going to look at what is the best future for you to step into. You have this card. It says it's time to take action. You can't make this up right here. Are you kidding me? You have this card. It says, look at the big picture. We've been saying that the whole time. That is the reading right there. I didn't even see that. So it's time to take action on the big picture. We could have just started with these two cards and the reading would have been done, right? So that is definitely the energy of the reading. You have the World, the Three of Swords, and the Seven of Wands. Again, we're looking at how you can step into the best future, like what actions you need to take. So the World is your card. So really, you just have to be yourself, number one, with the World card. Number two, you have to go have like small accomplishments. The World is all about creating those small accomplishments that lead to the big picture. So that's what I would be doing here. The World can also represent a change. In the major arcana, we go from the Fool to the World, then we start all over again as the Fool. So this card could be saying that it is time for you to like start over, kind of. And that's what I would do with that card. Next you have the Three of Swords. Three of Swords can be about healing those past heartbreaks. I do think it's a great time for earth signs to just heal in general. Like, this doesn't just have to be heartbreak, right? This could be any type of healing that you could possibly imagine. And the more healed you are, the better. So, doing things to heal would be a really good idea with the Three of Swords. Next, you have the Seven of Wands mindset. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. Seven of Wands is a card that says when you know that you know, when you truly believe that things can be successful, that's when you will be successful, when you believe it deep down inside. And so I feel for a lot of you, the Seven of Wands is about, developing a belief so deep that you can be successful, that you become successful. And that's what I would work on with that card. With the World, you have the Ten of Swords. We have entered into a new world. So, realizing that, the past is the past and it's time to move forward. He's making a symbol with his hand here. It's the same symbol the Hierophant is making on his card. And the Ten of Swords can represent a blessing in disguise. I said earlier, it's like what you're holding on to might be very small. What you're about to open up to could be very big. So I feel this is about releasing, the small things so that you can have something bigger and better in your life. With the Three of Swords, you have the Ten of Cups. Yeah, you can be happy, right? The Ten of Cups is ultimate happiness. It's also a card that represents fortune after difficulty, so there could be a lot of improvements, happiness coming in for you. Not really a love reading. We talked a little bit about love, but if you want it, it's here, as always, Capricorn. But, the Ten of Cups is really about choosing to be happy. They're standing in the real world, but they're focusing on what makes them happy, and that's what I would do if I were you. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Devil card, which is you. So again, I really just feel the Devil is, again, you showing up in the reading. This reading really is kind of just all about you in a lot of ways. And, I think that is a good thing. Like, I think that sometimes we should just focus on ourselves, focus on our own life, and focus on being the best person we can be and all that other good stuff. And when we do that, everything we want falls into place. You have this Restlessness card. To me, restlessness is a very destructive energy. So with this card, I always say, like, if you're feeling restless, go do something. Go do a puzzle. Go for a walk. Go watch a movie. Put that energy into something so it doesn't become destructive. You have this Lost card. This card is Saturn and Pisces. We have Saturn and Pisces right now. This bird is picking over the bones of something, right? So this card basically says, like I said, like something from the past is dead. It is dead, done, over with. It's time to move on and let it go and move on to something new or different. And that's really what I would be doing with that card. You have this optimism card. So many reasons to be optimistic, but again, I do feel the Ten of Cups is basically saying, choose to be optimistic. Choose to look on the bright side, and it will probably change your life. You have this order card. A lot of people have had these cards of like order, practicality, simplification, that type of energy. So I would just do things in your life in order or come up with a plan. Sometimes with the star, like I said earlier, we just have to have a plan. It doesn't even have to be a good plan, right? We just have to do something consistently to get to our goal. And if we do that, then things will go well. Finally, you have this status card. This is like my fancy couple card. If you do want love, definitely could be attracting like a new person here with this energy. Again, like I said, I feel like really there isn't a lot of love in this reading, but that doesn't mean you won't have it. So if you want it, it's here. But this looks pretty interesting, Capricorn. I like it. I like where it's going, as long as you work on the mindset thing. But other than that, it looks good. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy the rest of the year.